All right. Yay. Okay, so same thing. You're going to go up to screen share and whatever program you're using.
Right in. Okay. With all the new buttons you've got to push.
Just to keep it interesting.
Yeah.
Guys can always use help with learning how to push girls' buttons.
All right, so you should see it all full screen now.
Okay. So same thing as last time. I'm going to keep it on you, and I just want you to talk a little bit about the images. But before we do that, just talk to me a little bit about how you're feeling coming into level 9 critique compared to what level 4 was and what you're going for as a whole.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Not to put you on the spot or anything.
I'm actually coming into level 9 with a lot more dread than I came into level 4. I think I came into level 4 with some undue confidence.
Mm.
And I think today I am not exactly feeling that. So it'll be interesting to see how this turns out. And as far as what I'm going for, it's, similarly to level 4, it's, I do this professionally. Not full time, but I'm working in that direction.
Okay.
So really, it's just delivering the best I can to my clients, and every little bit of improvement that can go toward that is something I feel that they deserve, and it's just the pride in myself as an artist and a craftsperson that I want to be the absolute best at it that I can. So.
Mm.
That's pretty much all I really have to say about that.
Good. Okay. Well, tell me about your first image.
All right. So the way that I generally work with my clients, and these are all client images, I don't work with them a tremendous amount beforehand to plan out specific like outfits or looks or anything. So it's all what they come in with, and then I match that up against different props and stuff. So with this one, very clearly, once I saw this outfit with the red and the black, I thought it would look good with the red couch, because I like a very minimalist kind of compositions and color schemes. I just where my artistic interest lies, I guess. And then working through this sort of set of images with this client, there were a whole bunch of different poses and stuff. Just kind of incrementally worked, and she's a very confident, I almost say kind of has a very aggressive personality. So I definitely I didn't want to spend too much time making her seem demure. I wanted to give her that sense of confidence, and I thought with this sort of direct composition, very central, very symmetrical, it reinforced that boldness that she has.
Very good. And obviously, I wouldn't know anything about being aggressive or or in your face. And I love this image. I think that with that kind of personality, that red is a notorious color for sexuality and for being more blatant and in your face as sort of a come get me kind of thing. So that's definitely reflecting back off of the expression that she's giving you, and she gave it to you, which is so hard to get from so many clients, is to have them really nail that, and she's just piercing right through. Love the lingerie, love the positioning. I might have gone in and just retouched just a little bit under her thigh and just had that kind of follow the line back a little bit. She's looking a little bit flat on her thigh just because of the way that and it's because when she crossed it, all of that flesh is sitting up against her other leg, so it widens it out a little. So I might have gone in and just thinned that just ever so slightly. And I might have pulled up just a little bit on the angle because her knee coming across and crossing over the other one, you lose the entire side of her abdomen on the other side. So you're losing all of that inner curve with her. So the general rule is that if you lose one side of it, then you have to overcompensate on the other. So having her just kick her body language over even further to accentuate that curve into her midsection may have helped. And again, you could have pulled it in just a little bit more slightly with Liquify, but I try to do it a little more with the posing. Everything in moderation. But overall, I really love the shot. She's kind of cut off right at the ankle with the taller leg, but it's not enough that it's losing the shot for me, but I would have been curious to see this pulled back and as a full body shot, so you would have had the full effect of her body language, or maybe cropped up a little bit higher so that it was like right under the right knee. But overall, I really love it. I love that you have the shadowing on the collarbones. Collarbones and necklines, the décolletage is like one of the most overlooked areas in boudoir that really says feminine and is a good way to show slenderizing. Love the light in her eyes. She has beautiful, beautiful, beautiful light on her face. You got all of the detail in the hair. And I love the texture on the couch and on her outfit and through the stockings. Like, it's a really strong image. So coming off of doing the level 4 critique, like, I'm seeing marked improvement, whether this is a new shoot or just you making better choice options. This would definitely be in your portfolio on your homepage when you go to your website for me. So I'm going to give it a 3. I think it's exemplary.
Thank you. This is actually the first image you see on the website. So
good. All right, we're in good.
Actually, from level 4, you told me I wasn't allowed to pick my images anymore. So and these are all actually that are from my portfolio that I posted in level 8, and I collected all of the votes from within the cohort and some other people I asked, and literally just took the ones that had the most votes. So I didn't choose any of them, which might be a better.
Well, you owe the apprentices a drink. I love this one, and this is definitely a good opening image for your website too. I remember that now that you say that. Yes, so good on you. I'm glad you took that apart. All right.
So this is the next one. Again, with this one, I didn't know exactly what was coming in, but I thought that once I saw it, this green, it's actually, she had, let's see, bra, panties, and garter that all matched. But with this particular shot, I just, again, kept it clean, kept it just against the white background. I love the way the red of the hair played against the green. And in some of a contrast to the previous client, this one, she is a bit softer of a personality, and is portrayed that a bit with the softness of the pose. She's not directly looking into the camera in this one, just more of a contemplative thing for her. But mostly, between the softness of the expression and the color contrast between the red and green is what this one's about.
Yeah, and I love it. And I think you showed an image of her in your level 4, but it wasn't this one. And she has such a striking energy for being more of a quiet personality. Like, usually if you feel a deep sense of connection, it's because the models are really powerful in and of their own right, like the girl in the previous one. This one's definitely more subdued, but it's still very captivating. Like, this is the girl that doesn't know she's beautiful kind of thing. There's a couple of things that jump out at me. Number one, and this is probably not you, this is probably her with a bad color job, but all along the back of her neck, like, all of those curls look brunette as opposed to the top of her head, which looks very red. So I might have gone in and just like selected and tried to even that out, because I do think the red color, particularly right along the part and the edge of her bangs, is really, really strong. I'd like to see that punched up through the rest of her hair a little more. I love the green and redheads, man. Like, it's just a recipe for trouble. Whatever's closest to the camera appears the largest. So for you right now, I'm going to take it off a little bit for just a second so I can show you. So for you right now, that's the shoulder right here. and it's pressed up against her body, so it's making it really wide. Having her just pull that away would have made a huge difference in how thick her arm looks. And then the other way to add to that too is to actually have her drop that shoulder down. Her hair's way shorter than mine, so like she's like up here. If you had had her drop that and pull it away, it would have really lengthened along the line of her neck and made her look a lot more slender. The other thing you could have had her do was actually to pull her arm away from her body and just put a little bit of triangle of space between the side of her arm and the back of her, the line of her back. So she's looking just a little weighty here, because of that arm, because it's so thick in comparison to the rest of her body, and there isn't enough information going down because of how high you cropped it to add to the illusion of slenderness further down. So I might have backed it up and just included just a little bit more of underneath the curve of her breasts and down along the line of her abdomen, just to have that venture back in. But I also don't know that that's necessary. I think that if you had just pulled the arm back a little bit, it would have been enough. But I love the emotion that she's giving. I love the energy. You're doing very good at doing the rule of your eyes will follow her eyes. So having her cast her eyes down, you just flow right off the edge of her body, which is really, really lovely. And I love all the negative space. So I'm going to give it a 2. I think that it's definitely commendable. It would probably still make your portfolio for me, but I think there were a couple of areas that you could have tweaked to really make it pop.
Okay. And the third, this one, she came in with this amazing leather motorcycle style jacket. Mm-hmm. So I knew that even though that wasn't part of her wardrobe, so to speak, that it absolutely had to end up being used because it's just too cool not to. And I thought that putting it with the soft lace of this bustier would give a nice contrast of, and it's a stereotypical one perhaps with the leather and lace, but I thought that would be good. And then you just have the bold contrast of the black and white. You have the material contrast, a little bit what they're saying. And
that's it.
Pretty much it. Yep.
Okay. So again, and I'm a big fan of this pose. This usually ends up as one of the shots in each session that I do because the girls just look stunning in them. I love the idea that you were going for here. I think that the wardrobe styling is awesome because it's the white and the black lace and the black thigh highs and then the black jacket. Like, it fits really well together. Her face is beautiful. The light on it's gorgeous. I definitely like it as black and white shot. The jacket is not working for me in this pose because it's doing nothing but adding weight to her upper body. So you have this, your eyes go to what's lightest, which is her abdomen and her midsection, and you're losing all of the definition that would bring the lines in to show that she's curving inwards and to give her a little bit of a more slender appeal. I definitely see why you wanted to use the coat, but I think if you had her up and using it where she was like playing with the collar or doing something else, that it would have worked better. But with her hands up, it just pulls the coat way up and it's giving her this kind of like Batman shoulder pad thing going on that just isn't working for me. It's also causing her head to kind of be severed from the rest of her body because it's almost completely encompassing. So it's not working for me here. But I still like the shot as a whole. I think this one would have been stronger without the jacket. I would love to see some other ones with it in a different pose. But I do think that her face is just flawless with the light and the sharpness of the eyelashes and everything. You just want to look at her face all day. And it might actually work better if you cropped it in. I'm guessing it's 4x6 right now. I would probably crop it in and try it at like an 8x10 and cut out most of her body and make it more of a portrait shot. That might work stronger for this one. But I don't think you quite hit the mark on this one for me, so I'm going to give you a 1. This one, I don't know that would make my my portfolio choices for you. But I do like the shot a lot, so I think it shows a lot of promise. I'd like to see you redo it, but this one's not my favorite.
Okay. This one was actually part of a bridal boudoir session.
Okay.
So obviously there's a lot of focus on white. So she had all white lingerie for this part of it. There was a veil that came in on some later shots, but was not part of on this one. This one, obviously wanted to get a bit of the bustier. Obviously got a bit of the cleavage shot, but then kind of bringing her kind of a little bit of a, I don't know, a soft but just a little bit naughty expression. That's kind of the point of this shot.
This is definitely bridal. The first thing that immediately jumps out at me is the blonde oak flooring and kind of a plain bedspread. I think with the angles that you're getting, because they're mimicking each other around the corner of the bed and the corner of the room kind of thing, it's making it look a little plain. It's not making it look like a boudoir setting. So it's taking me out of the element a little bit for her. I think maybe if it had been composed a little differently, or if you had her sit on the other edge of the other corner of the bed so that everything behind her was white, I think it might have been a little stronger. And a more shallow depth of field probably would have worked too. That said, the background aside, which really would not be hard to cut her out of and replace, like, I think she looks flawless. The light on her is beautiful. I love that it's very subtle and clean, but it's still accentuating every line of her body that you want people to look at. The catch lights in her eyes are amazing. She's got just enough with the makeup to just look completely flawless, and I love that you left a lot of her freckles and her beauty marks, because it's just accentuating here that she's real. And her skin looks flawless anyway. Yeah, I'm loving her in this shot. The only thing that I would have changed about the editing of her is the line of her neck there. I would have taken that out. That's always, that's a fat line is what it is. And it's usually done by the way that they're turning. Like, it doesn't matter if they're 12 pounds or 1,200. Like, they'll get that when they turn their neck that way, but it's just not appealing. So I would have cleaned that one up a little bit. And it may be my computer, but there's a little bit of like red banding right off of the shadow of that because of the contrast. But that could very easily be my screen. I'd have to see it in print. Her hand's a little bit distracting. I would have probably had her pull her hand and leg over so that you could just appreciate her upper body. But again, that's something that I think this would be a stronger shot if you cropped it and actually cropped the leg and the hand out and just had it end like right at the front of her chest. But overall, it's gorgeous. I can't see any bride not loving this shot completely. So I'm going to give it a commendable. I think it's really good. There were a couple of things that could have been tweaked, but overall, it's still a really beautiful image.
Okay, thank you. And last one, kind of a stereotypical boudoir pose, the laying on the bed, looking back shot. Again, just with the outfit choice, she brought a number, and I thought that the black and white would look good against all white to bring out just that tonal contrast. And again, she has kind of a playful personality, so a little bit trying to keep the expression just a little bit playful and not too soft or too hard, because neither one would have been appropriate for her. So that's this one.
So this is very similar to the leather jacket one. Can you kind of see what I was talking about with, like, this one? I can see all the lines and where they go into her body, so it really accentuates the curves of her. That's what was missing from the last one, but you nailed it here completely. I love the curls of her hair and all the definition and the texture that you're getting. A lot of people lose that. Hair is really difficult for people to photograph for whatever reason. Her outfit is super cute, but with all of the patterning and the zebra, you're kind of losing a little bit the line of her abdomen where that should separate her from her legs. So it kind of blends in a little bit. You might be able to pull that out with a little bit of dodging and burning right along that line, but that's really nitpicking. Um, I would have liked to have seen a little bit more of her left leg. I think her lower body's a little bit amputated, but again, it doesn't really bother me. I think that a lot of your shots cropped differently would be stronger shots. So this is another one that I might actually come in and just crop closer and probably cut the knee out entirely and just leave it as like an upper body shot so that you could focus more on the face. Her face is beautiful. I'd like to see a little bit more contrast. You're losing her nose a little bit, especially at the bottom, where it's just blending in to the skin of her face. So I might go in and dodge and burn a little bit underneath her nose. And I probably would have had her tilt her chin up just a little bit further so we could have caught just a little bit more of the eyes. She's really struggling to make connection with the camera, and I think because of the angles, she just is missing it just a little bit. But overall, I still think it's a really strong image. You know, I love the texture and contrast of what she's wearing and her hair, and I think that frames her face really beautifully because of how high key it is. So I'm going to give you commendable. I think this one could definitely make your portfolio, but I don't think it's your best work.
Okay.
So,
well, that is all of them.
Woot! You survived! Yay! Okay, so you can go up and turn off the screen share. And then, so you're going to be the first one. There can only be one to cross level 9 and into the next sphere of training. How are you feeling?
Well, it's a bit like looking out into uncharted waters.
Mm.
There's a lot of mystery and hope and excitement.
Okay, so let's talk about hope and excitement because those are two of my favorite emotions. Where are you hoping to go from this point on, and what are you hoping to get out of the Arcanum?
Well, one of the big things is doing less, I guess, typical boudoir work.
Okay.
And I think that my work has a style that is not the same as. I think there's a lot of boudoir photographers that 90% of them you could not tell one from the next. And
Yep.
I don't think my work fits in that category. That might be wishful thinking on my part, but either way, I want to really just make work that is standing out even farther from the crowd, especially in the Midwest. It's been my experience that people, even if they have a great experience, they don't talk about it. So getting that word of mouth is really hard. Just everyone is, even if they're not personally conservative, there's that sort of social conservative force where people don't talk about things that are a little outside of the norm. And I've been to so many bridal shows when I was shooting weddings that if I offered boudoir, 70, 80% don't even know what it is. So there's just a lot of like social inertia of of getting people aware of it and then talking about it so that you can generate that kind of word of mouth that bring in that referral base. So I think creating work that is a little more stand out and a little more like fine art and conceptual inspired will one help with that because it's I don't know, by making it more art rather than sort of the typical boudoir, I think people will be more willing to talk about it. And then on the other hand, that's just a style that I'm really fascinated with and I've wanted to pursue for some time. So I think bringing those together and kind of creating a new model will be personally beneficial on an artistic level and hopefully beneficial on a business level. So what I'm looking for in the Arcanum is really kind of, I don't want to say guidance in that, but sort of a feedback and a feeling out of as I progress through that, which I'm going to be starting shoots for that in a couple of weeks, where it's successful and where it needs, tweaking as I'm developing this style.
Okay. And I think that's all really good goals. I love hearing people say that they want to stand out more, which is so much better than hearing, I want to be able to shoot like so and so, which is more often what we get. So that's good. Like that ambition right there is what will have people talking about you. Are you on Pinterest?
I am, but I don't really understand the appeal of it.
Okay.
I use
Um,
it for mood boards and stuff, but it's not. I don't know. I don't get why people spend all their time on it.
Okay, that's okay. People feel that way about Facebook too, and I don't have time for those kind of negativity people in my life. So that's fine. It doesn't have to take up your life, but I would very much like to see. And if you don't want to use Pinterest, like you can just post an album, like we did for when we were finding our points of inspiration. But I would really like to see you put together an inspiration board or collection that says, this is what I would like to be known for. Find some other photographers or artists or images that you feel are invoking what you're going for. Because, nobody really says, no, I don't want to be unique, or I don't want to do things that are, that I'm going to be really well known for. But everybody has different definitions. Like I have girls that say, I want to do something really sexy and risque, and they're talking about being in their underwear, and other girls are talking about wearing nothing but a smile. And other people are in latex and bondage stuff. So it's all very wide encompassing. So I would be very interested to see your vision for where you would like to be and what you would like to be known for. There's a lot of talk from a lot of people about being well known and getting word of mouth and referrals and how important that is, and it is, but there's not enough focus on actually paying attention to what it is that you want them to be saying about you. Great, go hire this guy. Everybody can agree that we love when potential clients or other people say that, but why? Why are they hiring you? What is it that you're giving them? What is it about the experience or the images, or what's really amazing about that you want to be known for? What are the descriptor words about what you do? Do you want people to be calling it sexy and demure, or provocative and over the top? And is it feminine and celebrating, women and them understanding their own sexuality and boosting their confidence? Or is it for them to really rock the socks off of whoever they're trying to get to pay attention to them? These are all different kind of mindsets. And I think that that's as important as getting them to talk, is getting them to say what you want the message to be. So I think spending a little time working on that for you would be really helpful, because that message then gets kind of built into your images too. And as you're sitting and you're looking over all of your best images, you'll start to see those messages in the actual work, which I think that you're like right on the brink of that point. Of all of the photographers that I selected, you were the one person that I picked solely because of your portfolio. I liked what I saw, and I knew that you had the potential to just kill it. I didn't even read yours. Like I clicked submit and then went back and read your portfolio and your profile. And a lot of other people, it was something that they said that really moved me, which is probably why you and I are frenemies. But at the same time, like as much as you and I banter back and forth about having different agreements about the way that things in the Arcanum are going, or different business practices, or what our viewpoints are, what you think, even if it doesn't resonate with me on a personal level, I totally see why that works for you and why that would work for a lot of people, which is why I keep hinting at, I really want you to consider, being one of the masters in the Arcanum, because I think that what you know really, really well. And I think that that's going to be a really big asset for you, and I think that it would be a really big asset for other people that could study under you. So what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to put together a board visually that says this is what I want to be. And I would like you to put together, think like a review of yourself, something, this is what I would like my clients to be saying. And then we can start working and building the branding around that. How are you feeling about the business side and the financial side of your business and where you are with that?
Everything is good except for bringing in the clients. Um, I like my branding. I I like my sales averages for where they are now. Once people come in, they naturally tend to go right for that middle album, which is where things are more or less designed to push them. But a lot of the inquiries I get, and this is because it's not built on word of mouth, a lot of the inquiries I get are price shoppers and people who are looking for like a $200 album to get as a gift for their boyfriend or husband, and that is really far away from the service and the quality and the products that I offer. So it's not bringing in enough of the people who are looking for it for their own experience and for their own enjoyment, uh, and understand that there's a price tag that comes with that level of service and quality.
Right.
And I'm not super good at getting my work in front of them. And part of that is because I haven't done a lot of relationship building. My wife has been in graduate school, and for the past 3 years, I didn't know whether she would be graduating in 6 months or 3 years. And once that happens, well, she just graduated, but I didn't know, since she was just graduating, whether we would have been moving this summer if she had gotten a job offer that she wanted, or if it's going to be next summer or the summer after that. I mean, it's so hard to make any good long-term business planning when everything is up in the air on any given 6-month basis. So there's been a lot of difficulty with that.
I can definitely relate. My husband's military, so that's always everything's always up in the air, and that is tough. That's something that I definitely relate to. Going back to the business and bringing people in, are you happy with the number of inquiries you're getting? You're just not getting enough bookings because they're price shopping, or do you need more people inquiring? How are you? Where are you on that?
Well,
Or
more
both?
inquiries would probably lead to more bookings. So that would help. But I mean, generally speaking, more of both would be good. But definitely getting more appropriate inquiries, I think, would be better. And I can honestly say, if you go to my website and you look through things, I don't understand why anybody would be calling me asking for a $200 session. But maybe there's something there where odds are probably they're not reading through the site very well if they're sending me an inquiry and expecting to spend $200. But
Okay.
definitely
Well,
getting
why don't you pull up your site and click on screen share, and we'll go through your site real quick. And what I want you to do is I'd like you to actually walk me through your site the way that you have it designed and how you think it is, and then I'm just going to give you some feedback on that from a secondhand point of view on where I think that some of your message might be getting lost in translation, because is that where most of your people are contacting you, is via your website?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's your invitation essentially. So being your front door, there might be something there that you're just missing, that a fresh pair of eyes might help with. And I've actually been on your site a few times, but I want to see what you have to say and what you think it's saying, just to give you some feedback on that, and then we can work on that. But I do think that it's important, like people say, oh, qualified leads and qualified inquiries. Keep in mind that anybody that's contacting you is a qualified lead because they like your work. It's just a matter of selling it. So, so go ahead,
That's
tell me about your site.
I think that that concept of the qualified lead. I mean, anyone can be qualified. I mean, I don't disregard anyone that sends an inquiry off the bat, but there's a difference, I think, when you're on the eastern seaboard and you've got 10,000 photographers that are within an hour or 2 hours of where you are. In eastern Iowa, there's like three people who shoot boudoir photography. So if you Google things, they don't have a lot of choice. So I think they tend to contact everyone. And that's something I hear from a lot of clients is, we're talking to a lot of people or a few people and want to see what you have to say.
Well, if you have less competition, that should make it easier for you to get a bigger slice of the pie.
Yeah, it's just a very tiny pie out here in eastern Iowa.
Yeah, but again, like if you're not splitting it with that many people, um, it's both. Like you can see it as a hang up and as something negative, like, oh, we don't have as many people, and there aren't as many photographers, so they're price shopping, or you can go, well, there aren't as many people, but there also aren't as many photographers, so I should be getting at least a third of that work. Um, and it's very easy if you only have a couple of competition to pay very close attention to what your competition is doing and offering and figure out what it is that's setting you apart so that they are not booking them, they're booking you. So tell me a little bit about your website though.
Well, the color scheme is sort of the first point of differentiation. Obviously, it's black, whereas pretty much everyone else around here that does boudoir is going to have that more typical white or like light colored background. So I wanted to create that sense of more luxurious sense with the blacks, the grays, the whites, rather than have a lot of color on it. Mm-hmm. Again, you come a few images right away, see what you're interested in, links to view portfolio, book a session right away, where I am, because a lot of people, you start searching and it takes half an hour to find out even what city they're in on the website, contact information right away. So the idea, they would come, they would ideally like the first few photos they see, want to see more, go to the portfolio, which shows a larger selection, larger images, just scrolls through there and you see a bunch of those. Then most people would go to About, and this is all backed up by stats and tracking. And this ends up being kind of an artist statement, signed, testimonial, if they want to look, and that actually tends to be where a lot of people stop. The ones who continue might go through the common questions, which is just rough FAQ, and things are running slowly on my laptop, probably because we're streaming.
Yeah.
I just click through there. A lot of the feedback on these is that it answers a lot of the questions people have before they come in. And then if they want to see some product pricing information, I've got some slideshows that show the different products that I offer, and then some general price information. Not anything specific, because obviously we want them to contact us and sit down and have a chat. And then if they want to read through the blog, not many people do.
Okay. So one, I think that your opening screen at the very beginning, I think that 5 images can be enough to gain attention, but they have to be 5 really striking images that also coordinate very well with each other, and yours are a little choppy, they're not fitting. Like that one does not fit with the other ones. I would think I'd be careful. I'd be inclined with your color scheme to do nothing but black and white on your opening screen. They can still go to your portfolio and see all the color ones, but I think that it would be a stronger presence because it is so black and white for the color scheme of the whole site. I think that'd be stronger. Because my 2 favorite images are your 2 black and white ones on this one, and I think it has to do with the color scheme. I also think that you have too much information on your website with your About, like having all of that reading with the prices and the About Me. I would take all of that down. Like you're closing down the conversation and you're leaving it up to interpretation. And like the thing is that anytime that you have a text conversation with someone, you have no frame of reference, because 80% of conversation is nonverbal. It's emotional ties, it's body language, it's expression, it's tone of voice, and we lose all of that. So really you're leaving everyone to read it with their own voice rather than having a dialogue with you. So it's coming off as a bulletin board, and if you're causing those kind of prices, personal connection is key. 100%. So I think that if you actually took that down, I'm fine with you leaving, like, our average client spends between $1,500 and $5,000. And you can contact us for a session, for more information here. That's it. As far as you, it should be just a couple of sentences and a personal photo of you. If it's about you, then it's about you. Or don't have an about me and be mysterious. Like, I don't have anything about me on my website. It's just the images. But you want them to contact you for any of the information and the questions because you want to start building a personal relationship with them. Right now, they're having a relationship with your website. So I'm guessing that that's part of the problem because they can go through, scroll through, get everything that they think they need to know and make a decision right there without ever actually having to contact you to form any kind of bond with you. And that's essential in selling. If you go to my website, there's 4 or 5 albums that you can look through. There's an album at the studio that says this is where you're coming, which some people get really excited just to come see it because it looks really cool. And they want to go play there. Other people will go through the different albums, but then the only other option is to contact me. There isn't any information about it because I want them to talk to me. I want them to ask me. And that way there's a personal dialogue and I can get a feel for who they are too. So that's something that I would definitely consider with you. I think that you have a lot of information and a lot of words that nobody is reading, and it's making your site look a little more cluttered than it needs to be, and it's putting all of that as a barrier between you and them actually connecting.
Okay.
So I'd be interested to see you at least try it, like maybe download the whole website and save it, and then for a month or two, clean it up, clear it down, minimize it, to bare bones, just really strong, beautiful images and a contact me page. And if you want to have your blog, I think that's fine. But I would just have my portfolio. Your about me should all fit on the screen, no scrolling whatsoever. And maybe contact us, prices start at here and there, one line so that they're not reading. Because right now you have all these beautiful products and everything. They can buy them when they're in the session with you. We offer a beautiful luxury line of albums. If you really want to include that, run it like a slideshow and just put like a little caption underneath that says our beautiful Italian leather-bound albums and image boxes from such and such and our full signature collection kind of thing, and have it run 2 or 3, but that's it. Like, it shouldn't be a scrolling thing. The more you have people scroll, the more you lose them before they actually go to write you a contact letter. And really, what do I need to contact you for now unless I want to book, right? Like, well, unless I'm sold. Unless I'm sold, I don't have to contact you for anything. My people have to contact me to inquire. And that's how it should be, because that also puts another level, like, by appointment only creates a totally different feel for people in what they think they're investing, as opposed to open hours. Anybody can walk in. You can be anyone. We don't care. You're just another client. By appointment only says when you set up an appointment, I am setting aside my very busy schedule to make time for you because you're important to me, and it will be about you and I. It's just a different mindset. So I'd be curious to see you try that for a month or 2 and see if that makes a bigger impact on your website inquiries, because I think that personal connection and emailing back and forth, you would have a lot more bookings.
Well, this is an interesting situation because I actually have 2 sites, because obviously under Inanna Boudoir, I did not do weddings.
Okay.
I did all of my wedding work and some glamour and boudoir originally under Tom Adam Photography.
Okay.
And what we kept hearing from clients for boudoir was that they didn't have a problem with me being a male photographer, but they thought that their husbands or boyfriends probably wouldn't want to know that. So we wanted to give them an option that at least let that be hidden so that they didn't have to have that conversation if they didn't want to. But
okay.
I've been considering that moving forward with this new artistic line, that I would go back to doing it all under Tom Adam Photography.
I love that idea.
Here is the site that I just redid. So it
I
literally
already like it better.
is just a portfolio. There's an about page that I need to redo, but it's just a couple paragraphs of text and then the contact. So I did really pare this one down, and this has just been within the last week. So I'm actually in a place with two brands where I actually can sort of see the differences in how they're coming in without actually having to change either website at the moment.
Okay, very cool. Um, my only concern with that is to kind of keep an eye on how many people are visiting both, and just from there, because if you're getting 1,000 hits on one and 100 on the other because it's new, it's a percentage thing, not necessarily a numbers thing. But I like that site a lot better. It's a lot cleaner. It's a lot simpler. The focus is on the image. And I feel like the image is secondary on your other site to the layout. So I would definitely recommend you work off of the second one. Personally, given the choice between the two, I just think it's stronger and it's making your photography and your art the hero of the site rather than the supporting role. As far as the male photographer thing, that I can't say anything because I'm not, but I know that both of the photographers that I have had shoot me nude were both men. But I also don't have an overbearing spouse or partner that feels insecure about that for that to be an issue. So I don't know. But I think as you start to refine your work and your message, that will be potent enough that will become irrelevant for you as a factor. Certain people, like, their work's so beautiful, I don't care if they have 3 heads as long as they shoot me and make me look like that.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's part of the hope is that, and it just sort of makes sense of moving in a more artistic direction, having it be branded as me rather than as a company name. But yeah, so the use of a company name was prompted by my clients trying to give them what they were asking for, which was not having to. And as some of them have come back later and said that they did end up later saying that it was a male photographer and their husband, boyfriend, whatever didn't care. So maybe it wasn't a great idea, but we were just trying to make it for our clients what they were looking for. So I don't
Your
know.
clients don't know what they're looking for, and it's like they really don't. That's why they come to you, because they trust you to help them find what they're looking for. I think it has to be a confidence thing. Like, I think the fact that you were swayed in that and went, oh, well, I'll create another name so that it's not me because I don't want anyone to feel uncomfortable. That's a you confidence thing as much as it is anything that your clients are asking for. Like, I would tell them to get bent. Absolutely not. You're going to be shot by Jessica fucking Lark. Do you have any idea what that is? That's awesome. It's just, it's a confidence level. Like, they should want to be shot by Tom Adams. They should want to tell everyone, and this is part of that, that referral and that review thing, like, that you want them to think that. They don't want to just have boudoir photographers or boudoir photographs done by some studio that they picked for, pricing and quality and the experience. They want to be shot by Tom. I want that photographer, and it's different. People don't have emotional attachments very, very rarely to a brand as much as they do to the people. That's why everybody uses celebrities to endorse products, because people feel a connection to people. It's very, very extremely rare. In fact, the only one that I can think of off the top of my head that is ridiculous is probably Apple. That's the only brand that I look at and go, people just go fucking nuts for it all the time, like just diehard fans. But most of the time, it's personal connection, and that's absolutely essential in what we're doing, because you are talking a person into taking off their clothes a few minutes after meeting you and being in a very vulnerable situation. So I absolutely will advocate all the time for you to be you, and for that to be a personal relationship that you have with them where they can feel a sense of confidence and trust in you as a person and you as an artist and what you're going to create for them. And you have a fantastic name. Like I got married just because I knew I was never going to take off as Jessica Pakanowski. You know, Jlark works way better. Um, so Tom Adams has a great ring to it. It sounds like a very sexy artist. You know, I would absolutely own that and build that. And especially with us being artists at heart, like we put ourselves into every image that we create. You can't create really strong, emotionally potent images, especially in the direction that you're looking to take it, to set it aside if you're holding back who you are for fear that other people are not going to like that. They're not your client. You know, be that and be who you are and be confident in that and let everybody else flock to that. And even the people that are going, I don't know, like they will come around as your art gets bigger and more potent and more well known, and you as the artist. That's what sells the work, you know? Most beautiful painting in the world and freaking stick figures written with a pencil on a napkin. The second will sell more depending on who drew it, you know?
Right.
Be the artist, and you are, like, you do have a voice. You're very, very strong at what your strengths are, which, you know, I don't feel like I have to push you very hard in your ability to see. I don't feel like I have to push you very hard to understand where all your strengths lie as far as business, and you're very commanding in the group when it comes time to get stuff done. Like you are always on it 10 minutes before I even ask you to be. Like you're born to be a leader, which is a very, very highly desirable and necessary trait as a business. If you're going to run your own studio and your own business and do this full time, you need to be exactly what you are, which again is why I think you should consider teaching, because there's a lot of people that is their struggle. They're beautiful, amazing artists. They have all this creativity and expression. They connect with people, but they cannot take command and control what they're doing. So I hate to see you pull back from that because you feel like you being a male photographer in any way, shape, or form inhibits your ability for success. Most of my favorite photographers across every genre are male.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
Good. Glad to hear you say that. So I definitely like the second website better. I definitely think that your images are getting stronger and your ability to select them is getting better, which is good because I was really, really frustrated when we went through your site last time and I saw all this beautiful work that you didn't include. Um, so this one, much improvement. So I think for you, for Sphere One, you know, we're kind of like building it together. But what I would like to see is I would like to see your work and your portfolio kind of start to reflect each other and start to reflect what you want to be known for, which again goes back to you figuring out not only how to get people talking about you, but what it is that you want them to say about you as an artist and about your artwork and about the experience with you. Um, I'd also like to see you write up a sort of mission statement and a business plan as far as how many inquiries you'd like to be getting, how many sessions you would like to be doing. If you want to make any changes to your packages and rates right now, or you know, if you're happy where they are and how much money you want to be making, let's start working on that, because my goal is that by the time you hit level 20, that you're exactly where you want to be. You know, that you're ready to hit the ground running and go. And then if you want to train under another apprentice or further your training somewhere else in the Arcanum, that's more for artistic growth and expansion rather than honing in. Does that make sense?
Right. Yeah, it does.
Okay, so how about you? What would you like to do for the next 20 levels, and where are you seeing? Is there anything specific that you have in mind that we can talk about right now?
Well, like I said, starting next month, I'm going to be working on these new style of shoots. So for me, that's where a lot of my focus is going to be. And I don't know if you've been noticing it, but in level 11, the section on our cohort, I had posted sort of a blog kind of thing about the development of that shoot, and I've been keeping up with that, and actually just posted one yesterday. I think it was
Nice.
yesterday with sketches of the images that are intended, or as the, I guess, sort of the idea of the shot. And then, of course, working on the set, I expect that it's going to change and alter, but to move forward with that. So I've been putting that in level 11 because a lot of people had been asking in level 2 that they wanted to see like start to finish from the idea to the end shots. And I thought that this would be one way to give people a look at least how I'm doing it for these. Obviously, with a long span of time from the idea to the finished product. But I thought it would be interesting to share that. But it also actually does have link to a Pinterest mood board where it's
Very
showing
cool.
some of the stuff, how the, because this was based on a song, so how the song was picked and the mental process to get to where the inspiration came from. And now we've got some rough sketches of the ideas. So that's kind of in there already in level 11. And I have a couple of other shoots that are similar ideas that I'm working up in a similar way. So I can hopefully over the next few months get all of these accomplished and basically build a new portfolio for this style. So that's
Okay.
pretty much my focus going forward. Because the work I've done, obviously for a while, it's still what I'm offering to clients because I don't
Mhm.
have this new thing for them yet.
Right.
So uh, today I did not bring any new work, and I did that because this is where my business is, and for
Mhm.
the next while, it's where my business is staying. But then, on the other hand, as an artist, which is hopefully going to take over the business, I'm working in this other direction, which says where I want to move and put my energy into through Sphere One.
Right. And you are completely hitting the nail on the head with what my thought process was as well, because a lot of people are coming into the Arcanum or really any teaching or learning experience with the concept of trying to figure out how to get to where they're going. And just as many people are confused about where it is that they want to be as it is where they are, because it's just as hard to plot a path if you don't know where you're at and you're lost where you are as it is to plot a path if you don't know where you're going. So, the foundation levels up until 10 are really about kind of honing in on where you currently are in your business and your creativity and your talent level and what your work is currently saying and what you want it to say, and figuring out where it is you want to go. And then levels 11 through 20 are going to be about plotting that path to get to that point with, hopefully the end goal of that and the destination at level 20 being reached around the time that you get there. So I'm going to be personalizing it a lot, but it sounds like for you a really good concept would be to actually plan maybe 2 to 5 shoots that are in the area that you want to go in, so that by the time you hit level 20 you have this full portfolio. And I think along the way of creating those images you'll start to really get in touch with what it is that you want people saying about you and what it is that you want to offer and what it is that's going to differentiate you, and get a little more in touch and a little more confident too with who Tom Adams is as the artist and the photographer and why that is just as desirable as what he's creating, because it is both. It's not just you create beautiful work, it's that I had beautiful images created by Tom, which I think is going to be a big part of the message for what people are saying. Yeah.
Yeah, and I know one thing that is kind of a change is I typically have been offering albums. I love albums. I think they're fantastic, and I love my album companies. But moving forward, I have this thought that I really want to put wall art. Like I want something that I want people are putting up as a gallery in their home and not just leaving in a book that they look at periodically. So having sensual and perhaps nude imagery that people are willing to hang. Maybe it's in their bedroom, maybe it's not in their living room, but I think that's a big gap to overcome in terms of having people want that kind of work. And I'm,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not entirely sure how well that's going to work out, but the I guess that's part of this process is seeing where that goes.
Well, and I think that's a really interesting point too, because like you think about like comedy movies that you watch, and there's always like some egotistical guy and or girl, and they've got like this ridiculous portrait of them, like laying on a bearskin rug with their glass of wine, and like it's always a funny part in the movie when there's this big portrait when you walk in the door of them themselves. Like people feel egotistical doing that, and the other thing is that there are certain people that you don't want to see that, like great, you want to show it off to your girlfriends and you definitely want your spouse or your significant other to see and certain people, but you probably don't want your dad or the head of your daughter's Girl Scout troop. And so that is kind of tough to overcome, but I think that part of that may be that as you delve into this new area that you create this beautiful collection of boudoir images, but maybe you do one or two pieces that are like these feature art images that are just the star of the session, that don't rely as much on sexuality as just powerful, provocative imagery, which doesn't have to be necessarily equated with nude or even boudoir. Like, it's very easy to put them in anything from ball gowns to having them draped in fabric like Grecian goddesses kind of thing. Think about who it is that they want to play. But if you create these epic pieces of art where they are a piece of the art rather than, an intimate photograph of them, I think that you'll find that that's really not as difficult to do as you think. You just have to be a little bit creative with how you're presenting it. So that might be something to add into your board too. Like just how many images do you usually return in an album? How many?
In an album, it's usually 20 to 30, and that's out of 40 to 50 that they see.
Okay. So let's say, here's what I want you to do. I want you to create, um,
But going
oh,
forward, I'm thinking about a totally different kind of scheme where really
okay.
they're coming in for, say, 5 images. And
Okay.
my idea, and I don't know how well this will work out because I haven't done it yet, but my idea is actually, instead of having them come in and do the slideshow presentation, is actually to come in and have the 5 images giclée printed and have them on easels, so that they're coming in and they're not seeing a computer display or actually a giant TV, but they're not coming in and seeing a digital image. They're seeing printed fine art. And
Right.
then, if what they want is those particular fine art prints, then they can buy those on the spot. Otherwise, we'll have I can have other options or other sizes that they can order after that. But I think that'll put them in the mindset of this is something to be displayed, not just a picture. So that's kind of my thought moving to at least get started in this and see how that works.
Have you considered switching from albums to maybe image boxes?
Well, I already offer both, and
Okay.
most people prefer the albums.
Huh.
Just
Okay. I don't. I offered albums for 2 years and nobody bought them, so I do just the image boxes now. And I think that part of the reason why is for the same thing that you were talking about, with them not wanting certain prints of themselves on the wall. And in the same regard, they might not want to show all of those images of themselves. So like the boudoir image, the bridal boudoir image that you showed, that one's fairly PG-13. That I feel like anybody in her life could look at that and see a really gorgeous print. Whereas, the ones of them laying on the bed in the lingerie, that might be a temperamental choice where they're like, well, not my dad, not my boss, not my kid's second grade teacher kind of thing. I don't want them seeing that. So you might actually be losing some of your word of mouth because they're just not showing the album to everyone because it's all or nothing. So if you're looking at venturing away and into this big art print, I know Fineo does like 11 by 14 prints. It would be very easy for you to print the box and have that there for them with 5, 10, 20 images, however many you decide to do, depending on their package, where you get to pick. And you could even look into the option of having easels and stuff so that they can take them and put them out, but they can also switch them out. So when it's date night, the one of her, in that sexy little lacy G-string and garter is sitting on the table on the easel when her hubby gets home kind of thing. But when it's something else, it's this beautiful shot of her in this expansive gorgeous hotel room that you did or something like that, which would enable your art to be seen and swapped out on a regular basis so that all of it could be appreciated. Or do a smaller box with a collection of images so that they're all prints and they can all be displayed or hung up or anything, but maybe pick your favorite. And this goes back to the branding and what do you want people to say? Like, you're going to look at them and have one image from the session that you're going to go, this is my image. Like, this is a Tom Adams image that I'm really excited to share on my blog and put on. Like, you always have your favorite from the session. We all do. So maybe that's the one that you do as a big wall print, matted and framed, and it's on an easel when they walk in the door. And if they want to buy it for X amount of dollars as an add-on when they come in, they can. And if not, then you have a really beautiful piece to hang on your wall for the next client that comes in that goes, oh my God, I want to have a shot like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I think.
Just a thought.
Yeah, and I think the image box is probably going to be the smallest thing I offer for somebody who doesn't necessarily want a whole collection on the wall. But I think if you look in level 11 at what I just posted, you might get a better idea for the look I'm going for. And I think it's
Okay.
a little less with the typical boudoir poses. And I think because you haven't seen, because I haven't created any of this work. Your thought is looking at the work I've created and you're thinking of how do we adapt that, but
Mm-hmm.
I think that it's going to look very different. So in the end, I don't think there's going to be as much of an issue with that,
With having them on the wall.
this one or that one, which one's safer to see, because my hope is that they're all, like I say, they may not want to hang them in their living room, but my hope would be that they're all kind of
Worthy.
going from just a picture of them, which no matter how good a boudoir picture is, it's still just a picture of them, to really being something that is more of a piece of art.
Okay,
So
very cool. Well, in that case,
it's
I'm
something
very
tricky.
excited to see what you're posting, and I'm going to go check out what you have so far on level 11. So let's work on that, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit off air about where you're going and where you're looking to with some of that. But congratulations on being the first to survive their level 9 critique.
Thank you. And just so you know, you almost had your first guy crying.
Aw.
So maybe with David, because it looks like he'll be next. Maybe you'll get him.
I'm working on it, but it is really, they all pale in comparison to me making you cry. That's been my goal from day one. One way or
Well,
another, it will happen.
you got closer this time, so maybe 14 or 19. We'll see.
Okay, I'm gonna keep working on it. All right. Well, congrats and cheers, and I will we'll see you again at level 14.